thank you for all coming. I know Rabbi Ricky for a long time, and he has an illustrative career. First, as a very successful businessman, CEO of Conway, tremendous chain store, a real estate developer. He's a community leader. He's one of the people that took the Kohanim from this to this. Same with Bakai Yeshiva and a bunch of other things he's going to talk about. Right now, he received smicha how long ago?
5 years ago.
5 years ago. He's the rare rabbi that has business experience, life experiences, and also Torah experience. Right now, he has a phenomenal project that bringing young adults, young men, who are, well, he's doing two things. He's doing a college, but also guiding young men in giving them life lessons, and maybe you can speak better to that, life lessons through Torah and business as well. But maybe, am I saying that right?
Yep.
So, you don't need to speak. I didn't need to come here to speak. You don't need to speak.
Thank you.
To Rabbi Ricky.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a, thank you, Albert. We have
And again, keep us over here.
We have a beautiful minhag, and that is that when you've had the good fortune of being, oh, my guy's so right. When you've had the of being invited to someone's home, you should open with a word about that person. So I'm going to speak briefly about Albert and Renee.
Here we go.
So there are all types of community leaders, Some men and women are very, very frontal in their leadership. And that's a style of leadership, and it's effective. Others are very, very obscure in their leadership, and that's also effective. And then you have those who put themselves in the most difficult place, from my perspective, which is frontal-ish. And what does that mean? That's a person who understands when to step up, but generally speaking, is moving things around quietly, but emphatically. I've known Albert for many, many years, and I've seen him in that role over and again, and I know from the people he's impacted how effective he's been. So, you're a young man, you're just getting warmed up.
Okay, thank you.
And I want to tell you a quick story, because I want to mention something about Renee, who we grew up with their family, with her grandma across the street, Mrs. Safdie, across the street. And fabulous, beautiful woman. She used to sit on her porch. And as kids, we used to go there on and on and on and spend time with her. I'm going to tell you something that I believe is true about Renee, although I don't know her well, but I know her grandmother and a few of her and her father. My father was a powerhouse in the community. He built Sharet Zion when he was 35. He doubled it in size when he was 80. And he was walking around with the plans to expand it 50% in size when he was 94. And at what point we were in his room, and my mother insisted on cleaning the dinette chandelier herself. So she stood up on the dinette table. She had a housekeeper. She stood up on the dinette table, and she attempted to clean it, and she fell, the table broke, and she broke her hip. And we came home right away, and we saw something fascinating. We saw the man who was a rock. He was a giant. At 80 years old, he doubled the size of the synagogue. How many people on the committee voted to double it? 20 out of 21 voted against doubling it. 20 out of 21. When he made the announcement to enlarge the synagogue, the rabbi of the synagogue and two of the community leaders got up after him and said, "You're going to bankrupt the community." 80-year-old man had at that point served the community for 45 years. "You're going to bankrupt the community. You're building it for a bunch of foreigners," one of them said. My father put his blinders on, and he kept going, and he built it. And who did he ask to help? Somebody who didn't even live in Brooklyn, Saul Ashkenazi, who was 70 at the time. So the 80-year-old and the 70-year-old doubled the size of the synagogue in 4 years and paid it off in full 3 years later. But when my mother fell, my father fell apart. And my wife and we were shocked. My siblings were shocked. And we learned something very important, that the strength, the true strength, is from the spouse. It truly is. And sometimes they stand in the spotlight and sometimes not, but I have no doubt that your wife is a primary source of your strength, and she will always be, and that you value that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let me tell you a little bit. I'll give you a little background. At 18, I had the great opportunity to go study in Israel. There were 2 kids from the community who went at that time, me and one other kid. He left after 3 months, and I was the only Syrian kid in Israel at the time. Now we send a few hundred kids a year. There was one, it was me, and that was the story. So I was very driven and thrilled to be there. And at the time, the school I went to was an affiliate of YU. I took the equivalent of 54 credits in a 36 credit year. Did very well, and came back, went to NYU, graduated in 3 years with honors, did some work in the graduate school there. And then I went into what you would go into, was a family business. And thank God, we had a great run, did some other things after that were very nice. But what drove me and what filled me up inside through all that time was my teaching. And teaching with a very specific focus, and that is that Torah is not a spectator sport, that people don't sit in classes, nor do teachers give classes for people to passively ingest and walk out of the room. So we took Yom Sharet Zion. We took it from an organization running 10 programs a year to 40. We brought hundreds of kids on seminars, and on and on. And then throughout the business years, my greatest fulfillment was in teaching Torah, learning Torah, and primarily with the perspective of building people. It's all about building people. So about 20 years ago, when I first left Conway, I thought this is my time. I'm going to focus and complete my semicha. For a handful of reasons, I didn't do it. A number of years ago, I said, you know what, I want this more than anything. And I had the opportunity. Rabbi Sammy Kassin is a dear friend and my Rebbe, and he's put out 350 rabbis so far, all over the world. And I tell him that Chabad is the knockoff of his efforts, and he's great. I studied with him for a number of years. They tested me, written tests, put me through the ringer, thank God. So now my life is dedicated to teaching and building with the following perspective. When we learn Torah, we learn it to use it. When we sit in the class, we hear the ideas to own them. It's a very big difference than what a lot of people do. In a lot of situations, you can sit in the class, hear something, walk out, and generally speaking, you're going to forget it a few minutes later. But the Torah model is l'mod u'lelamed, which means when I hear Torah, when I have that opportunity, I engage in it to the extent that I can teach it. I engage in it to the extent that I can teach it. And that's a big demand. And that's what we're doing. And that's what we have to be doing. When I worked with hundreds of young adults over the years. It was about building them, giving them the tools to use and to grow, not to simply hear and move on. So as you build your kahal in this new generation, God willing, whatever you do, you should be focused to the following. I want the people in the room to grow. I want them to be able to look back from this year to the previous year and say, I know much more, and I can quantify what I know. And it's changed me. And you know what? I can even teach it. Because otherwise it's a pass-through. It's not a real good investment of time. You know, there's a very big thing in the community now, storytelling. We have a lot of storytelling classes, a lot of storytelling. I don't understand it. Honestly, I really don't. And I'll ask some of the people I know after they've come out of those, so tell me the story that you heard. You just left. You spent an hour of your life there, a full hour. Tell me the story. Hard to tell the story. Very often hard to tell the story. Okay, you can tell the story, very good. How is your life going to change as a result of that? If you can't sit in a class with me or whomever and walk out of the room and quantify that my life is going to change as a result of what I just learned, that was a waste of time. Because knowledge, just for the sake of hearing it, has no value. Torah knowledge is to be built with, to be owned, to grow with. So that takes a different perspective about the educator and a different perspective about everybody sitting in the room. The educator has to have the perspective that I'm here to build people. I'm here to build people. And by the way, how do I do that? With this content. Not I'm here to give a story about the parasha and leave the room. So that's a very different commitment. It's a different commitment from the educator. It's a different commitment from the participants. And what the rub of all of this is why do we do this? I'll tell you a quick story. Rabbi Kasson went in one year for a quadruple bypass. Some of my kids have heard the story a few times. He went in for a quadruple bypass. Pretty serious, right? I called him, a day or so after he got out of the surgery. I said, Rebbe, how you doing? He goes, I'm doing great. You know him, right?
Yes.
I'm doing great. I said, no, you're not. You just had a quadruple bypass. You are not doing great. He said, I am doing great. And the truth is, he was doing great. You know why? Because his Torah is his tool. It's his mandate. It's his marching orders. It's his mission. And that's why he was able to produce 350 rabbis, 350. That's more than Porat Yosef and Umpteen Kollels put together. That's why he was able to start 40 Torah institutions. Spectacular. He's 80. He gave me a list of the 10 things he's working on now. But the premise to all of that is my Torah fills me up, motivates me, energizes me, and therefore I'm productive and I'm having a great time. He is having a great time. Because Torah, more than anything else, brings simcha. It really does. I pray in Shat Etzion. We have like 1,000 people on a Tuesday morning, right? So I walk through the building, and I'm there my whole life, and I try to quantify how many people have an over-the-top smile on their face. How many? We live in you can't say it's arguably anymore. We live in the greatest community of the world. Talk about. We live in the greatest community of the world. And the greatest country in the history of the world. In the greatest financial city in the history of the world. We have Torah, we have institutions, none of them are perfect, thank God. How are you walking the building not smiling and not having a great time? What's going on? I think about it a lot. I say, you know what, my neshama was placed on this side of McDonald Avenue. But it could have very easily been placed on the other side of McDonald Avenue. I didn't have a choice in that. And had it been placed on the other side of McDonald Avenue, my life would be completely different. So you know what? I'm going to study my Torah as a tool to grow and to build. I'm going to use that tool to have a happier life. And I'm going to have a great time. And God forbid, I don't want to ever go through the medical issue that he went through, but that's my paradigm. My paradigm is I'm having a great time. And the best tool to make that happen is an immersion in Torah learning and chesed and love and relationships the way they can be based on the Torah model. So, what you should establish for yourselves and for your children is, I got lucky. I landed on the right side of the tracks by no choice of my own. I have this spectacular opportunity that the other really nice person doesn't have. I have it. And if I have it, I'm going to own it. I'm not going to sit in the class and walk out and not be able to give it over to my children as well or better than I learned it. That's the way it's supposed to be done. When people sit in my classes, I torture them. I shouldn't say that, right? No, I give them a hard time. Why? Because I won't let anybody sit in a class passively. They have a brain. They have a soul. They have a life. I want them to be one of the people who walks into the synagogue in the morning with an over-the-top smile because he's having a great time, because his Torah and his Maasim Tovim and his mitzvot and his love are filling him up beyond what he ever imagined. The way to do that, you got to plug in and you got to work hard. That was my short introduction.
Love it.
Okay, let's learn a few ideas together.
You set the high bar.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Great. I want to tell you one other thing. I'll tell you one other quick story. My kids are telling me now, all I do is tell stories, but okay, I'll tell you one other quick story. My father was 94. We were sitting at the Shabbat table. My father was sitting here, my mom was sitting here, and I was sitting over there. And that was before he fell down, and ultimately he passed away 6 months later. And he was walking around with the plans to expand the synagogue in size another 50%. By the way, he's gone 17 years. They're first doing it now, but he was doing it. He came over he turned to me and he said, "Son, Mr. Sutton approached me and asked me if I need help." Why would he ask me? Now, if it wasn't my father, I would have said, "Daddy, you're 94. He thinks you might need help." But my father, at 94, had no idea why he was being asked the question. And he felt he didn't. And for the most part, he didn't. My point being that when we make a commitment to change our perspective about Torah and to be a player and a partner and a builder and not a passive participant, it doesn't matter how old you are or what you know or where you started or anything like that. It doesn't matter. We say Hayom Harat Olam. The world started today. My life starts anew today. So if I did it this way before or that way before, it doesn't make a difference. Today is a new day, and today I build. Good? All right. So let's talk about something. Let's talk about something pretty straightforward. We're going to do it in a quick way. I don't really want to do it this way, but I want to whet your appetite for learning on a different level. So the Shema, right? We say the Shema every day? Yep. Super, great. What's the Shema about? Tell me, honey. What is it about?
Shema is giving thanks to Hashem for waking up every day, basically. Taking advantage.
And what is it? Yes.
And it also gives like the guidelines of what your day should be.
It gives a guideline to what?
To what the day should be. Like
so what the day should be. What's the guideline?
Yeah, like the Hata Lerecha, I don't know. Like
before that, what is the guideline of the Shema? You're right there. Give me the first line. Huh? What does it mean? Right.
to love Hashem.
To love Hashem b'chol levavcha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol meodecha. What does that mean? Say it 3 times a day. Huh? With my heart's plural, right? We're talking about another time, Godwin, but my heart's plural. 2 hearts. I only have 1, by the way. But no, okay, we're talking about it. But my heart's, right? My heart's, yeah? My heart's. Nefesh is what?
Soul.
Nefesh is my consciousness. My neshama is my soul. My nefesh is my consciousness. Is where most of, is where the physical and the spiritual meet, right? And what else? Meodecha. What does that mean?
Your money.
Time, money, everything like that. Right, good, very good. We'll skip the next few lines. We'll God willing, at some point we'll go into it further. But what happens when a person, I'm sorry, let's not skip a few lines. V'shidamtam levanecha v'dibata bam, right? Right? What do we say? Shatam v'yodroim el asher anochi mitzavcha yom al levavecha v'shinamtam levanecha v'dibata bam, right? What does that mean?
To teach your children.
I should teach my children, right? What does lishanot mean?
Change.
Huh?
Change.
No, it doesn't really. It means to teach it over in my words. So in that sense, it is to change it, right? So when it says v'shinantam levanecha, it means that I have to understand the halachot well enough to be able to teach it over to my children in my words, not the teacher's words. You with me? Good? Huh? So far so good? Okay, good. So I have to be able to teach it in my words, yeah? In my words. That means what? That means I understand it well enough to say it over with my vocabulary to someone who may have not been in the room and has a whole different level of understanding than I do. Right? Beautiful. Now, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach it and I'm going to engage it all the time. Right? Beautiful. True? Good. What happens, skip to the next paragraph, what happens with the person who goes into Torah the way we're discussing today, not as a pacifist, not as a recipient, but as a partner, right? Owning it to the point where he can teach it. Not only does he know it, not only does he living it, but he can give it over to somebody else. Yeah? What happens with that person?
He's going to have dew on his fields, his bam are going to be fed.
Fabulous. Say it again.
He's going to be taken care of.
He's going to be taken care of. How?
He's going to have dew on his fields, and then his animal is going to be fed.
Right. Right. So the second paragraph talks about something very interesting. It says that the person who does this will have the dew hit the seed immediately when it's planted. You can't control dew. Can't control it. That's God. That's nature. I can't control that. So the Be'am Shamoah says that, you know what? When you do this stuff, the deal is going to line itself up for you. You're not going to have to kill yourself. The water will come to the seed by itself. And then what does it say? We'll get the rains at the right time, right? Great. And then what it says beautifully is that just before the harvest, there'll be that rain that tops off the grain. At that time it was an agrarian society, right? People didn't do what we do today, ancient times. But right before the harvest, there'll be another shot of water, completely outside of our control, that will make that harvest as perfect as it could be, right? And then it says, and you said it beautifully, not only will you have a fabulous harvest, but the harvest will be so plentiful that you will be able to not only sell and sell and sell, but to feed your livestock from your own harvest. You don't have to go out and buy anything else. We say this 3 times a day. Most people pay zero attention to it. Zero. The method is right there. And by the way, this is a biblical prayer, not a rabbinic prayer. You want to tell me the other prayers are rabbinic, I can downgrade them a little bit? Maybe. Really can't, but maybe. But this is biblical. This comes straight from the Chumash. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, listen guys, there's nothing I want more in this world than your great good fortune. Nothing. There's nothing I want more than your happiness. There's nothing I want more than for you to have a lot of money. There's nothing I want more than you good health. Nothing. God is the ultimate father. He's the ultimate father. What does the father want? He wants for his child to have everything, everything, everything. But more importantly, he wants him to be happy. The word simcha is written in the Torah more than the word Shabbat. That's a fact. What do you mean? Isn't Shabbat the cornerstone of our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? No! Simcha is. Happiness is. Why doesn't anybody get it? Because we're in this fog. We're not willing to roll up our sleeves and to dig into the greatest gift that a human being can have, the Torah. And 3 times a day we read the formula, and it's right there. And then we rush off to the office and we kill ourselves and we grind and we grind and we grind. 1 second. 1 second. Should I be working? Of course I should be working. Should I be learning Torah and working? Of course. Should I be doing chesed and working? Of course. All those things should be happening. But the formula is right there. I will tell you, and I'll raise both my hands, I will tell you that I taught the formula for decades and ignored it. Like most people do. I taught the formula and I ignored it. We hold, it's interesting, again, different conversation, but we hold that there's a spigot of good and beracha, health, good feeling, financial, all the spigot, and who keeps the spigot closed? We do. Because we don't use the tools to get the maximal benefit. So, let's recap up until this point. Number 1, Judaism is about action, participation, champions, builders. It's not a spectator sport. In order to do that, you got to jump in and commit and use your brains and challenge and fight. That's what learning Torah should be. Everybody has to have a chesed expression. Everybody has to have, we take no prisoners with my students. My students have to have at least an hour a week doing chesed. What are you doing if you're not doing that? What are you doing? You're missing it. And by the way, I did a program for the Hillel teachers a number of years ago, a training program, and I told them that the primary beneficiary of chesed is the doer, not the recipient. That's fact. Like any other mitzvah.
There's a study.
Huh?
There's a study that says the ones who give money are happier and live longer.
And the ones who do chesed with their bodies and their time are even better. Beautiful. So, when a person is learning Torah actively, engaged, if he doesn't know a word of Hebrew, it doesn't matter. It's a process and it moves. The Hebrew, the tools for the Hebrew, the formula are right there. They're inside. All they have to be is accessed, opened up. So 1, learning has to be on a real serious level. Doesn't have to be hours a day, but when you're there, you got to be in it. And you got to be challenging, and you got to be fighting. And that's how we learn Torah. Why? Why? For me. For me. And chesed has to be a weekly commitment. And by the way, you made a very nice point, but I want to tell you one thing. Giving, charity, writing a check, and chesed are not the same. And we have to be chesed. Chesed means, right? Chesed means I'm giving my time. I'll tell you a nice story. I was walking, remember Irving Schneider from Helmsley Spear? So we were renting space from him in the Broadway store many, many years ago. And he was older by then, and he was very, very charitable. And he, I think he launched or he supported the Schneider Children's Hospital. It's outside of Netanya, I think. And at the time, he was giving 60% of his money to charity. 60%. Mind-boggling, right? Very interesting. So he invited me once to come there. I was in Israel. He invited me to come, and we were walking through the halls together. And he goes, "This tour is over." I said, "What do we mean, Mr. Shani?" He goes, "You're looking at the people as objects. You don't belong in a hospital." And he was 100% right. He was 100% right. Because I didn't have the sensitivity and the empathy that it takes to relate to someone, God forbid, in a hospital bed. And he was 100% right to cut the session short. So what did I do when I got home? I said, you know what? I'm doing this and that in chesed, but I'm not in the right place. Because I have a lot of things in my own character that I still have to fix. And I started visiting people in pain. People who didn't have the opportunity to fix their pain. And it changed me, as it should. So, learning Torah as an active participant, that's got to be step number 1. To build my life, to make my love and relationships richer, to enable me to communicate with my children better, to enable me to build a closer relationship to myself and to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Number 2, chesed It's all about me. And that's why we choose an area of chesed that we want to build, not an area of need. We choose an area of interest, because the primary beneficiary of interest of chesed is me. So that has to be thoughtful as well. And in addition to that, there are a number of different age groups in this room at different stages of their love and relationships. The Torah model is a very beautiful model, and it says like this: if you understand love and relationships from a Torah perspective, you're married 20, 30 years, 40 years, there's more passion, there's more intimacy, there's more laughter, there's more sharing. What are you talking about? People come to me and they tell me, it was so great 20 years ago. It was so great when we were dating. It was so great when we were first married. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what they're talking about. And it breaks my heart. But they haven't been taught what it means to take love and relationships from something conditional to unconditional, and how you move a love relationship that way, and what that means, and the celebration of that love. These are all Torah models that have to be taught, that have to be learned. That's what it's about. I want to mention one other point. Our children in this community, from my perspective, our young adults, there's no better people on the planet than our young adults. They're the best. They're sensitive, they're caring, they're ambitious, they're great. Our young adults are suffering now. Many of them are suffering because they don't have enough of their parents. They don't have enough of their parents. Their parents have been trained to drop them off at the curb of XYZ yeshiva, and then they've been trained, if the child is having a tough time, to drop them off at the curb of Sephardic Bikor Cholim, and then they've been trained to something else. But we have to become different parents to our children. We have to become different parents. We're good parents. We have to become much better parents. And for that reason, for example, I'm teaching a class this summer on Kibud Av V'em from both sides. What the child has to do for the parent and what the parent has to do for the child. What the parent has to do for the child. We had 20,000 hours of therapy sessions, 20,000 hours given by Bikor Cholim last year. It's a trophy statement, it's true, but it's also a reflection of the pain in the community. And how backed up are they on booking a session? 3 months. 3 months. Now, we as parents, of course we're busy, but we have to continue and teach again and again and again ourselves what it means to be a parent. Because life is complicated, and life is busy, and life is involved. But there's nothing more important than your child. You know that, right? I'll tell you one quick story. One young man came to see me, very difficult time articulating his ideas and this, that. I said, so what's doing? He said, no, my father's trying to get me a job. I called the mother afterwards. I said, doesn't matter what job you get him, he's not going to last. So I don't know what's doing here. Then I said, you know what, can you get your husband on the phone? A couple of days later, he gets on the phone. I said, listen, how many hours a day, you know this child is in pain. 22, 23 years old, no direction, spends the day at home. You know this child is in pain. How many hours a week do you spend with him? Is that a hard question to ask? How many hours a week? He was honest. He said 0. He said 0. So when you have the greatest gift, you have the greatest responsibility. We have the greatest community. We have the greatest resources. We have the greatest children. We have great educational institutions. So we are the most blessed of all. We're not the 1%. We're the 1% of the 1%. And blessing brings responsibility. So what we should be doing is changing our paradigm about our Torah involvement. I want to be smarter than the teacher. You know what makes me the most happy? When I build a student where he or she is so strong, she says, see ya. I love it. I love it. Let's go. That's great. The best. That's what we all want. We want to build homes with Torah libraries. We want to build a home with a Torah library, whether we could read one line now or one word, because that sets a different feeling in a home. So, as this beautiful community moves to its next generation, I think you need to make some critical decisions. And you have to decide what you want. And if you're building a community, you have to build yourselves with that. And building myself with that means, right? I could say it over, the Torah I learned in my own language, and in fact, I can teach it. The bar is no lower than that. Sitting in this room, from those of you whom I know, we have some of the smartest people around, right? You've mastered areas of commerce, of community leadership, of community involvement, right? You have the brain power and the tools to master Torah. You got to do it. I'm going to leave you with one point. You know, sometimes people, their schedules are very tight, and they are. So I suggest to them, learn 10 minutes of Torah a day on a serious level. 10 minutes. 10 minutes on a serious level. Does everybody have 10 minutes? Probably, thank you. Everybody, thank you. Everybody has 10 minutes, yeah? So let's look at two people. Let's take Ricky 1 and Ricky 2. Ricky 1 at the end of the year didn't spend the 10 minutes, right? He's pretty much the same guy. Ricky 2 spent 10 little minutes a day, which means at the end of the year he has 3,650 minutes of Torah learning in him. He's a completely different person. 3,650 minutes of Torah just from learning 10 minutes a day. It's mind-boggling what that means. It's a different life. It's a different life. I'm in a kollel now. It's interesting because I'm the only non-black hat guy in the black hat kollel, you know?
Which one?
In Keter Zion, Rabbi Maselton on East 8th Street. So we all love each other, we have a great time, and we learn on a serious level. And I feel very fortunate that my happiest time, other than my wife and children, is in that building, learning on the level I'm learning. It's fabulous, it's great. And I wish it for everybody. And all of you are learning Torah now, I know you are, but bring it to the next level. Make it as serious as you would the other important things in your lives, and not for anybody else, not even for God, for you. Because at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, the word Simcha is written more times in the Torah than the word Shabbat, which is the cornerstone of our covenant with God, but not the purpose. The purpose is to be happy. And I want you to do one other thing. I want you to think of what your natural expression is. If your natural expression is a big over-the-top smile, then you're in a great place. And if it's going in that direction, God willing, then fill your soul with the things that your soul needs. Learning Torah, Gemilut Chasadim, and engaging in love and relationships on the level that they were meant to be engaged in. That's what life is. And that's the opportunity. Thank you very much, Abba.
I also say that Rabbi Ricky is a social media star. All right?
That's Isaac. That's not me. That's
and
Isaac.
Follow him on Instagram. I got to say, they're really inspiring. It's Rabbi Ricky, what is it?
Rabbi Ricky Cohen.
Rabbi Ricky Cohen.
Made
Really.
it easy.
Rabbi Ricky Cohen. Follow him on Instagram. I got to tell you.
Thank you.
It's just amazing stuff.
I never would expect that kind of thing out of class. Great. Any questions, guys? Questions, thoughts?
When are you coming to Manhattan Beach?
Huh? Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions, thoughts, challenges? Come on, challenge.
That was a challenging question.
That was a challenging. You're right. That was a challenging question. Any other thoughts, guys? Any other thoughts? Oh, now you guys saw each other. Great. So what's the
Where do
question?
you get those 10 minutes of Torah?
Huh?
Where do you find those 10 minutes of Torah?
What do you mean
Where
where?
do you learn?
Okay.
If you don't have access to a shul,
You got to do something in person. The online stuff doesn't work. Oh, you learn it in a minute. You will learn it in a minute. You know why? Because it's innate. It's inside. I tell people, break your head with the Hebrew. Break your head. It's innate. You know it. You just haven't used it. And what people will find in a year or two, when they never used Hebrew, in a year or two they're proficient.
Rabbi, 1 second. On WhatsApp,
Right.
you got different classes from different rabbis.
Next.
Well, you just recorded this thing. Anybody
Next.
Are they going to be watching this thing or no?
You know something? I'm happy if you watch it, but don't replace this for an in-person class. 10 minutes in person. In person. And if the rabbi is not breaking your head and challenging you, next. You know, they say, how much of our brains are used?
8%.
8%, right? Right! 8 crummy percent! What does that mean? We have massive intellect to bring to something, right? Let's use it. I'm not a big fan of hearing stuff online. You know, we're doing a whole thing online. Yes, it's true. But I'm not a big fan of learning my Torah online. I'm a fan of being inspired by our 62-second, whatever they tell me to do, clips. That's something else. But learning my Torah online, no. Not a big fan of that. It's not in person. It's not on the table. And by the way, I want to tell you one last quick story. When I was taking the test for the Semicha, my Chavruta only spoke Hebrew, and the Rosh Kollel only spoke Hebrew. And it was very hard. We did Yisur V'Heter, which is kosher, non-kosher, very hard. So there were times when I was literally crying. You can ask my wife. I was at home crying. I said, I can't answer the question. I'm out. I can't answer the question. It was too hard. And I can't talk to anybody. Nobody speaks English. Right? Huh?
So everything's in Hebrew.
Everything was in Hebrew. And you know what? You get there. The Hebrew is innate. It's in us. I don't care if you used it the last time in elementary school. It's there. You just got to tap it. You got to touch it. You got to reignite it. It's there. And you'll see it. Good. Other questions?
You could use the analogy, it's like listening to a Ranger game on the radio or being
That's
on
right.
the glass.
Perfect analogy.
You want to be on the glass live or you want to be...
That's a perfect analogy. Yeah.
When you say break your head on Torah, are you referring to a specific type of learning, like learning Gemara specifically? Or
I hold like this. I hold that it goes Chumash, Gemara, Halacha. That's the system. That's what the rabbis articulate, that you have to have a strong basis in Chumash. That doesn't mean they can't all be learned together, but you have to own the Chumash. You have to own it. I'm going to tell you a little, I'll give you a quick example to this. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'et haaretz, right? What does that mean? What does it mean? Huh? In Reshit doesn't mean beginning. We'll do that another time. In Reshit, God created, right? Heavens and earth, right? Tell me what the problem is with the pasuk.
In the beginning, what's the beginning?
What's the beginning? Excellent. Leave that for now. You're right. 100% right. Give me another problem with the pasuk, gentlemen. Ooh. Another problem with the pasuk. Bereshit, huh?
The double language.
I have double language, meaning what?
Double has the no?
Beautiful. Yes, exactly. And therefore what? There's an extra language in the pasuk. 1 second. The opening pasuk of the Chumash. It's supposed to make everybody stop and say, what is going on here? Bereshit bara Elokim. Bereshit we'll leave for another time. It should say Shamayim va'aretz. Shamayim va'aretz. Heavens and earth. Right? Beauty. It says et hashamayim et haaretz. What does that mean?
The.
It means the. What's the point of that?
For us to ask.
You're supposed to ask.
Right at the beginning.
So now we have 4 extra words or letters in the pasuk. It's the first pasuk in the Chumash. It's shouting, look at me and challenge me. You have to do that. You can't read Bereshit, huh?
Why? Why does he do that? Is
Okay.
that the answer? Because he wants us to challenge it?
No. There's answers. I'll give you. Okay, first of all, understand the question. Questions are more important than the answers. First of all, understand the question. Next is possible answers for it. There are a number of them. Some say that the et, right, the four extras, are meant to speak about the mayim, the water, the ruach, right, and the tohom, right, the water, wind, and abyss that are mentioned where? In the next pasuk. And the choshech, right? When we mention those four things, we have a little bit of a problem. What is it?
They're mentioning
Where did they come from? Right? Where did they come from? Well, maybe where they came from is what is hinted to with these extra words. Oh, that's a possibility. Other rabbis will say, you know what was created? Fire. Where'd you get fire from? He builds an argument for that. Other rabbis will say that the tools to build the world was created. Really? Wow, cool idea. Where do you get the idea for that? What is Rabbi Soloveitchik, alav hashalom? He was the greatest Ashkenaz, one of the greatest Ashkenaz giants of the 20th century. What did he say? He says, gather up everybody else's ideas on what was hinted to here that wasn't explicit, and then bring your own, because that's the best. How awesome is that? And that's the way you learn. The simplest pasuk is a massive mystery. There's hundreds, more than 100, but hundreds of pages written on that little tiny pasuk. And that's the way you learn. So, you get a little bit of Chumash, you get a little bit of Gemara. Gemara is spectacular, and you get some halakha. And again, how do you learn halakha? You learn it like an academic. You fight with it, you challenge it, you push back at it. How does this make any sense? Why? The purpose of halakha is to make me a better person. How am I going to become a better person from this? Those are the ways you learn. Not only to know the details, but to try and figure out the purpose. That's what we do. What else? Chacham. He's always arguing with me, this guy. Let's go.
It's just a matter of, listen, I think everybody has a different path, right?
Yep.
For what interests them. And me personally, I'm interested in philosophy.
You into, yeah.
In philosophy. And I can't, I'm not interested in the details.
I know.
Not interested.
And you know,
I don't have a desire.
I hear it.
I feel like I'm at an end point where I'm not hearing any new concepts.
Right.
To me, my mind would open up like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing in any class from any teacher, I'm not hearing any new concepts.
And I would hold, and we've had this argument before, by the way. We've had it a few times before, if you remember. I remember. And I would, respectfully disagree. And I would say, open a Gemara and break your head. You know what Rabbi Soloveitchik said? He said a fascinating thing. He said, there's no such thing as Jewish philosophy. You want to learn Jewish philosophy? Learn halakha. And you know what? Mechila, because I have a lot of love and respect for you, he's right. He's right. And who was the greatest philosophical mind? Harambam. And who was the greatest halachic mind? Harambam. It's all the same. And if I understand halakha, I understand philosophy. But I have a feeling you and I are going to argue about this for a long time to come. Because I can't move the needle 1 centimeter. Umpteen arguments. Okay, I hear you. I hear. I hear it. I got
It's
it.
not about emotion. It's not about emotion. Maybe the emotion will come
Correct.
if you learn Gemara.
When you start to break your head on it, that's when you will.
See that? We know we're doing good because he's going to open a different synagogue right next door. Right? Oh yeah, Harold. Oh yeah. Great. Any other questions, thoughts? Push back. Great. Thank you very much. Albert, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Thank you.